and welcome. So, I'm so grateful to be able to practice with you. The kind of time date stamp here is that this class, if you're catching it via recording, is being recorded with a live community, international community, and it is December 6th, 2025. This is our last live class for 2025, and we will meet again live on January 3rd of 2026, which is just in itself kind of amazing because I feel like it was just January. How did a year go by? Did anybody else feel like, well, that went by quickly? And I suppose that is just the nature of time. And especially, I guess, as we get older, time does feel like it moves faster. So I have called today's class Illuminate the Path. And um, I'll share with you a little bit about why. Many of you know that I use the cards from the post-traumatic growth deck, and the card that I have chosen for today is this one. It is called Illuminate the Path Ahead. Illuminate the Path Forward. That's the name of it. This particular image on this card, all of the cards are my own photographs, and this particular one is my husband with a backpack walking on what truly is our favorite trail in the wilderness here in Colorado, heading towards um, the Crater Lake in the Indian Peaks Wilderness. And there are some cairns that are on the path marking our way. And sometimes, as we all know, when we're walking any path in life, we might feel a little bit disoriented, a little bit lost, and we need to find some of those guideposts to help us find our way. And one thing that I'm very grateful for whenever I'm hiking on those trails in nature is that there's this knowing that someone has walked this trail before me and they've left these kind of markers. And so, as we join together collectively in a journey of this human life, or a journey of trauma recovery, a journey of growth in general, I love the way that we all can leave markers for each other. We can kind of leave these cairns or illuminate that path for each other of what growth feels like and looks like, and how do we know when we're on that growing path. And I even see some of you with your candles lit or these beautiful lights sitting in front of you or around you this time of year in December. And I think that light is a really beautiful, powerful metaphor for that illumination. So, the other thing that I'll offer around this theme is that sometimes all that we can see or recognize in ourselves is what we know in reference to where we've been. And it's normal, right? It's really normal to kind of reference or orient towards what's familiar, but it can also limit our ability to enter new territory or even see that new territory is possible for us. So, as a result of that, sometimes we take what we know and we use that to recreate known patterns in our lives that leave us feeling like instead of moving forward, we're kind of going in circles and we feel a little bit stuck inside of those patterns or circles. Sometimes it's like we have blinders on that are limiting our ability to see new paths or new choices or new ways of being with ourselves. And so sometimes our behaviors or our way of being in the world are chosen in response to beliefs that are outdated. And we're not even realizing it. We're simply recreating those patterns that aren't serving us anymore. So, as we look and work with the body today, I think that it's often that we carry that self-doubt or those self-limiting behaviors as kind of holding patterns in our body They shape us. They shape how we breathe. They shape how we carry our posture in the world. They shape our use of eye contact or lack thereof. And I think it's also really common, you probably see me motioning here around my solar plexus, but it's really common to carry a lot of tension around the diaphragm and around the solar plexus that kind of locks us into some of those old somatic patterns as well. So this practice is going to involve some twisting practices and some movements and stretches and strengthening practices that are really all here to kind of free up and also give us a new sense of support and alignment around the core of the body. We'll again have some twists and really kind of unwind some old patterns. And what I love about yoga is the way that it stimulates neuroplasticity. We have opportunities to play in new spaces, to explore, and to open not only our physical bodies, but also our minds to new possibilities. So this practice invites a gentle twisting and balancing sequence, and it will invite us to move playfully, thinking out of the box when it comes to the yoga practice. Always remember that it's your body, your practice, your space, your time, and make the choices that are wisest for you. I always have students that come to a class that will tell me I did the first 20 minutes and then I rested in Shavasana. That's always an option, right? So you listen to you. I'd like to read to you the reading that accompanies the card, Illuminate the Path Forward. And I will read that here from the post-traumatic growth guidebook that accompanies the deck. It can be difficult to imagine a future that is different from your past or present. Traumatic events can limit what you believe is possible in your life. Although you can't change the landscape of your past, you can choose a new path now. You do so by creating intentions which help to shape your growth. What changes do you want to invite in your life now? Imagine being successful in making these changes. How will you feel? When you set goals for your future, you illuminate the path forward. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment in this last class of 2025 for us here together to reflect on that intention that you have. It might be something that kind of helps you gather and reflect on the growth that did happen in this past year, harnessing that and harvesting. And it might be a new word or phrase that helps illuminate where you'd like to go next. And of course, we'll regroup again the first Saturday in 2026, and we can light that up one more time. Sometimes we have to suspend what we know, to suspend our doubts that squash our dreams, simply to create space for something new. So even if you don't know the words of your chosen intention or what's going to happen next, what it is that you're creating space for, simply allow yourself to suspend the beliefs that you know don't take you in that wanted direction. I have a short poem for today, and then we'll pop onto our mats. This poem is by Victoria Erickson, who writes, "It's okay that you don't know how it will happen quite yet. It's okay that you don't know how it will happen quite yet. The momentum is in place. The river is moving. The charge is alive. This constant unfolding, stay with it. Stay in it." Okay, let's do some movement to supercharge our intentions. How does that sound? We're going to use our breath. I have a little extra breath tossed into the mix today per request from last time. So it'll be also a very breath-centered practice. And I'm going to go ahead and spotlight myself. There we go. Okay. So if you wanted to go back to gallery, that of course is always an option. And I will also share with you that the intention that I am bringing in for our practice is I am open to new possibilities. I am the creator of my life. I am open to new possibilities. I am the creator of my life. So in case that one resonates with you, or those resonate with you. So let's start out with an invitation to bring your hands together, move them around a little bit, get a little bit of warmth, especially if it's chilly where you are. It's a bit chilly here this sunny Colorado morning. And then to just gently, wherever it feels right, bring your hands across your hairline, your scalp, your face, if that feels available. And in waking up your senses through a little contact with your own skin, your ears. You can roll your earlobes in or out, the sides of your neck, across shoulders down to elbows. Front body or back body. And you might also choose just to wake up, what I sometimes refer to as the skin suit, just waking up through your legs, your feet, just kind of greeting fronts and backs of your legs, hips, belly, just arms, sensing how your skin provides both a boundary, but also gives you some feedback through this contact of where you begin and end in space. Good. And then a brief pause, just to notice. Notice how it feels to have that sensory input. And then we'll bring in some breath and movement for some additional sensory input. So the breath that we'll work with here is a 3-part breath, or a Dirga Pranayam, and it's an invitation to breathe into navel, rib cage, chest, and then we exhale chest, rib cage, drawing the navel back towards the spine. And then finding how we can kind of link those 3 parts of the breath together in a smooth flow. So we start out sometimes using the hands as these anchor points, allowing yourself to really feel that expansion behind your navel. Maybe moving your hands to the sides of the ribs as you expand your diaphragm and rib cage to the sides. And then your hands to your chest, inhaling all the way up into the upper chest. And then we exhale in the opposite. Exhale, chest, drawing the ribs towards each other, drawing the navel back to spine. And now let's smooth that out. Inhale, navel, rib cage, chest. Exhale, chest, rib cage, navel. And lengthen the breath. Inhale, navel, rib cage, chest, all the way to the top. Exhale, chest, diaphragm. Draw navel to spine all the way to the bottom of the exhale. And then three more in your own rhythmic pattern. Beautiful. When you feel complete with that complete breath, that three-part breath, we're going to add on. And the next layer to this is to add on some spinal movement so that the breath actually is deeply complemented by beginning to move the spine so that as you inhale, belly, rib cage, chest, you're lengthening your spine, you lift your heart, you even maybe lift your gaze. And on the exhale, we're going to round forward, really helping to send the breath out of your body. And you can stay like that, maybe hands resting on your knees, or you might add on again, this time an invitation to take your hands to your shoulders, open your elbows, lift your chin. And exhale as we round forward. This time, chin tucks, elbows come together. And as you breathe and move, really listening inward, finding your own rhythm with breath and movement, your own pace. And then perhaps opening your arms this time, opening wide. And exhale, give your hands a nice firm press. And one more time. And then soften, release. Take a moment and notice how your body responds to the breath and movement. Maybe returning to your word or phrase, your intention. I'll offer up once again, I am open to new possibilities. I am the creator of my life. I illuminate the path forward. Next invitation is to find some rotational movement, upper body around your legs and pelvis. Inhaling, you might expand the belly. Exhale, find that drawing of navel to spine as you round back. Creates a natural massage across your digestive organs. And we're beginning to kind of wake up through the diaphragm, the abdomen, maybe clearing out some stagnancy. Let's go the other direction. Inhaling forward, exhale back. So beautiful. And then coming back up, long spine. All right. Next breath practice is going to be one in which we're going to exhale and kind of more sharply draw the navel to the spine with a more rapid inhale, exhale. So we'll work a little bit here with a Kapalabhati. Sometimes we call this a breath of fire. And if you were to, again, kind of see this from the side, on the exhale, I'm going to draw the navel to the spine. The inhale just fills naturally into the nose, and exhale is also through the nose. So you might experiment with it initially. Exhale through the mouth just to get that feeling of the forceful drawing the navel back. And over time, you might switch to nose breathing with this. And sometimes it's helpful to have a tissue. So we'll find this together and we'll do this for about 30 seconds or so. So inhale and exhale. Inhale, this time a brief pause at the top of the inhale. Let the energy, the prana circulate. And exhale, clear it out. Let it all go. And pause and receive. Just breathe naturally. And notice how that breath is kind of an energy moving breath. Again, maybe moving some stagnancy. And maybe it was a little uncomfortable. That's okay. You'll ground again. If you need to, you can place your hands over your navel just to really feel that ground at center, or press down into the earth. Beautiful. All right, our next breath centric. Again, this one has a bit of a rapid quality to it. So listen to your body, honor what's right for you. So for this breath practice, we're going to slice across the midline, right at the level of the solar plexus, right between the navel and the diaphragm. And we're going to alternately use our hands to slice as we find a slight twist in the body. So I'll come just a little closer for just a moment, just to see this a little bit more clearly. We're going to exhale, 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 like this. And as you breathe and move, imagine that you're slicing through the limiting beliefs, that which has been holding you back. Once again, release that breath. Go ahead and inhale, a brief pause at the top, circulate the energy. And exhale to let it go. Let it go and receive. Maybe as you let the practice go, let the breath go, imagine that it's taking with it any of those limiting thoughts, the the grief, maybe that too, just for a moment gets to be kind of washed down the river. Sure, there might be additional waves, but just let yourself come back to this moment now. This moment, that which holds you, your intention, this community, this practice, your yoga mat. In fact, I'll slide back onto my yoga mat as we find our way into some practices now that will kind of ground us down a little bit more after those first very illuminating practices. So I'm going to invite you to find some shoulder rolls. You can find them in one direction and the other, and rotating your forearms around your elbows, each direction. And then coming into your wrists, just rotating your hands around one way and the other. You can get a little creative and playful, and you can even kind of let all of the joints of your shoulders, elbows, wrists come into a little playful, free form joint flow. Beautiful. And then receive that for a moment. Maybe a little tingling, a little aliveness in your upper body, your arms. Super. So we're going to do a little bit of a different variation on our lower body joint rotations today. So I'm going to turn to the side for this. And I'm going to invite you to start out by sending both of your legs long and using your hands back here like a resting at the beach pose. Okay, so we're just going to kind of hang out for a moment in this kind of supported lean. And then from here, I'm going to invite you to take your left leg and to lift. Now you can adjust again the lean of your hands, or you can also bend into your right leg if you need to. And then from here, just a few rotations of your left foot around your left ankle, one direction and the other. And you might also just simply point and flex your foot, just getting into the ankles. You can even really focus on that, the toes, squeezing the toes in, stretching your toes up wide. Good. And then next invitation is kind of a hands-free, just rotate your shin around your knee, a little circular movement here, one direction or the other. And then just like we did with the foot, also just take a few straightforward lifts and lowers. So like we flexed and extended our foot, just doing that with the shin. Again, circular movement and up and down. And then next invitation is your hip. And again, you're really relying on your own hip mobility. So with the hands-free version, just taking your leg around in some wide hip circles. And then the next invitation is to cross into what'll look like a little figure four. So you're going to take your ankle over the above your right knee. And then I'll invite you to bend into your right leg. So now we have a seated figure four, and you can walk your hands in or walk your legs in to find the just right sensation in your left hip, and you might also rotate a little side to side. Just allowing yourself to find those little pockets of sensation. Breathe into your left hip. You can intensify the stretch or de-intensify, reduce the intensity by backing away. All right, here's where it's going to get fun. I'm going to invite you to now remove your leg and hands-free tuck your left foot behind your right calf. And then use your foot to draw both legs down. So now it's kind of like a deer, except that left foot is tucked behind your right knee. And kind of similar to our deer shape, for those of you that are familiar with my classes, we'll just find a little bit of a twisting in and out. In this case, it's probably a little easier to twist towards the left and back away. You might even reach with your right arm across your body. And very likely, this very early, open, gentle twist is something that you'll begin to sense down around your psoas, the inner groin, as well as your low spine. Beautiful. All right, we're going to unwind that twist, and I'm going to invite you to take your right leg long and your left knee bent to the inside. So left foot to the inside of your right leg. And for just a moment, find a little stretch over your right leg. Just kind of greeting once again, a little bit of a Janu Shirsasana, one-legged forward fold. Say hello. And then lifting back up. So this is where it's a little fun or funky. You get to decide, but see how this feels for you. What I'm going to invite you to do is wrap your hands around your left knee and start to give it a bounce. Now, if your knee is close to the earth, you will literally be bouncing your knee up and down over the ground. If your knee is way up here, you're just going to bounce it in space. So one way or another, we're just going to give a little bounce, 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 bounce. Keep breathing, keep bouncing. It's a bit vigorous. You can even let your voice go with the bounce. And then let that go. Come back to hands behind, both legs out in front, and take a moment to sense your body. Sense the movement of energy. Receive any sensation, let that integrate through, tingly, bubbly, maybe soft, maybe temperature, warmth. Notice where that energy travels, maybe where it feels a little blocked. And we'll take side two. So this time it's right leg, and we start with foot around the ankle. You can find those circles in one direction and the other. Maybe flex and point. And maybe really just focusing in at the toes, right? The toes get to reach and curl. And then finding a few more circles, flexion, pointing, curl toeing, toe curling. Okay, good. And then go ahead and take your shin around your knee, one direction and the other. And you might also take a little bit of just that lifting and lowering, like you were going to kind of flick something off your foot or flick something with your foot. Just a few movements like that, maybe another circle or two. And then hip circles in one direction, and the other. And then taking right foot over the top of your left thigh, bending your left knee, and we're in that seated figure four. And you get to choose the intensity. It's a little choose your own adventure here. You might walk in a little bit closer. You might back away. You might take your foot closer away. Breathing into your outer right hip. Maybe you slide your foot a little side to side. And then taking your foot underneath the left knee, left calf, and then rotating your legs to the right. And this time, in this kind of funky deer, knee, toe tucked, foot tucked deer, just finding a few twisting movements to the right and back away. Maybe your arm reaches across your body. Mm. Beautiful. As we untuck, we're going to send left leg long, right foot coming to the inside of your left leg. And you can take a moment here once again to greet your left leg. Say hello, a little forward fold. And here's where we come back into that bounce. And again, maybe it's a close to the ground bounce, or maybe it's just kind of bouncing your leg up in space. One form or another, we start to find a little bit of rhythmic bouncing. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Let your breath go. Remember to breathe. It's a little effortful, right? There's some definite effort in the arms, making the bouncing happen. And then go ahead and rest. Go ahead and lean back onto your hands, send both legs out, and receive. So these pauses in between sides or after each side are as important as the movements. Might notice your heartbeat, or again, just that feeling of prana, movement of energy. Notice where it's flowing and maybe where it's not, without judgment. Okay. Next invitation is to take both feet, both legs, and start to windshield wipers here, okay? So we're just gonna take them in, out, and feeling that movement in the feet, in the legs, in the hips. And then that one too, we're gonna pause and let that settle. Mm. Amazing. Good. Well done. All right, let's come down onto your back. First movement, once we arrive supine here on our backs, is to find a little bit of a bridge roll. So a bridge roll is an invitation to take your knees skyward, feet about hips width apart, and to press into your feet, maybe your hands as well. You're going to keep your gaze up. So if you're lifting your hips, I'm going to encourage you not to turn your head side to side. But it's a pretty intuitive movement. So if you just want to watch the first one without doing, we're basically going to press down to lift the hips up, and then you're going to roll your spine back down to the earth. And you're going to roll back up off the earth. And finding this little wave of your spine in this position in relationship to gravity. And then last layer, if you'd like to add it on, is you can let your arms go for the ride. So that as you are lifting your hips, your arms might come all the way up and over, overhead. And on the exhale pattern, you roll your spine down and hands come by your sides. So with or without the arms, it's up to you. And last one, rolling down. Pause to receive. You might walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat and let your knees rest in towards each other. We'll call this broken bridge. And just softening for a moment, letting the floor hold you. Next invitation is to walk your feet back, hips width. And now we're going to move into a series that's going to bring a little bit more engagement of the core, strengthening, some fire, some agni, some heat. I'm going to invite you to start by taking your hands behind your head. Inhale here and exhale to lift head and shoulders straight up. Let your head be heavy in your hands. So we exhale as we lift, we inhale as we lower. And this is just to kind of start to get this core on board. You can exhale through your nose or your mouth, depending on what feels supportive for you. Beautiful. A brief pause, you can decide whether you want to stay just as you were, or maybe you lift your feet off of the ground, knees stacked above your hips, and same action, lifting straight up and lowering down. Exhale as you lift. And then lowering down for a moment for transition. So this time, head and shoulders are going to stay down on the mat. Right hand is going to come across to your left thigh, just above the knee, and you're going to have a firm press, leg into hand, hand into leg. And then the opposite, left hand, right leg are going to reach away and back in. So it's a little bit like a half cross crawl, if you want to think about it that way. And the head and shoulders get to rest down now. So this action in arm and leg is amplified through the press of your left leg, right hand. Beautiful. One more on this side. And then we'll switch it out. So it's deceptive, and when we're really pressing with that isometric hold on the side that's not moving, it's intense, right? So left hand, right thigh, and this time it's the right arm, left leg that are moving. Give that nice firm press. Find your rhythm with breath and movement. Inhale, exhale as you draw in. Nice firm press, hand to leg. Okay, last one on this side. Ooh. Ah, you feeling it? Good. Me too. All right. Next one, hands behind your head. You're going to take right elbow towards your left knee and you're going to make contact there. Now, this time with your hands behind your head is off the floor, but we're in a static hold, elbow to knee, and just your right leg is going to lift and lower. Inhale, exhale, two more. And then, woo, come back to center. Now, if that one's too much, you can always go back to that head to that hand to leg, head resting on the earth, back to the one we did right before it. And if you're along for the ride, we have side two here, left elbow, right thigh, pressing firmly, left leg long, and left leg lifts and lowers. Beautiful. Last one. Hem through to center. Ah, all right. Draw your knees in. Just give yourself a little rock side to side. And hands behind your knees, a few rock and rolls on your spine. And eventually rocking up and over into a tabletop. And particularly, you might want to find a cow pose, lifting head, tail, and just opening up here through the front line of your belly, diaphragm, and then find some free form movement here. Maybe some sound. So we build some heat and then we use that core connection truly for the rest of class and the rest of your day, but certainly here as well, just guiding some intuitive, instinctual movements. Beautiful. So next invitation, some of you have done this with me before, is to find a toes pose. We're going to curl the toes under and begin to press hips to be seated on top of the heels. So in this shape, we are stacking shoulders above hips, crown of head, right at the top of this shape that you are creating. And I'm going to invite you, and I'll show this from the side, to take your elbows in towards your rib cage and your palms up, your thumbs up, and to simply open towards the sides. So letting yourself just kind of feel into the kind of postural adjustment that this invites as you have shoulders in and you just simply open your elbows are in and you're opening your hands out to the sides. You might stay with just that hold, or you might take your hands behind, interlacing hands here and creating kind of one fist here with your two hands as you draw your arms back or down. Might breathe a little bit into your collarbones, shoulders, side of neck, and of course your feet. All right, let's come on out. Unwind through the hands. You can shake them out. Unwind through the feet. Tap them out. And then invitation is to sit on your heels with your toes untucked. Now we're opening into the tops of the feet and of course the shins and knees. And maybe you even feel this in tops of legs. So this might be plenty and it might be too much and you might be kind of a little bit lifted. If you're wanting more, you might experiment with lifting one knee and the other. Waking up through the front line here, tops of feet, ankles, and you might also roll back a little bit. And you can even balance. Right? Balance on the tops of your feet. We're not here long. Come on out. Good. Again, you can kind of tap that out. And tucking toes under once again, this time as we walk ourselves back, we walk into a little tight squat, like a little tight ball here. So your feet, your knees are together. You can curl forward. You can even give a little bit of a bounce in this shape. So just kind of bouncing, bounce this tight little ball. And then a variation of this, dropping your knees down, taking your feet wide, and this time we're in a wider squat. So feet wide, and now you can take your feet even as wide as hip widths or so apart, and we've got this wide squat that you can then shift a little side to side. Heading into the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hips. Very grounding. Beautiful. And then lowering your knees down, coming back into a tabletop. And one more for that front of the shins line here. And you may or may not choose to do this. You might opt in or not. We're going to invite you to take a little bit of a cat-cow lifting head-tail. On the exhale, as you round your spine, press into the tops of your feet and lift your knees. And then we'll do that just 2 more times. Again, maybe yes, maybe no. Inhale, lift head, tail. Exhale. Sometimes it's really satisfying to get into the tops of the ankles, a place we don't get into very often. And one last time. Beautiful. That is done. Okay. We're going to, from here, I'm going to invite you to take your left leg back, left knee under your body. Left leg back, this time left foot forward and through. And it can take a little bit to get there. And for those of you that are new, I love to use blocks for my practice. If you don't have blocks, you can use a stack of books. But something that kind of brings the floor a little bit higher if that serves you. And then once we're in a low lunge, you're off for a little bit of self-exploration for a few breaths. Just make it yours. Come in and out of that forward lunge. And greeting your hip flexor on the right side, hamstring, and your left leg, and whatever else wakes up and speaks to you. Beautiful. And then I'm going to invite you to kind of come up into a crescent moon shape. So in this shape, if you are sensitive on the bottom of your right knee, place a little pillow or a blanket underneath there. And then from this shape, a little bit higher up, another chance just to come in and out of the lunge, feeling your way into the sensations of your body. Good. And then an invitation to take your arms up overhead. I'm going to show this from a different angle for a moment because I'm going to invite you to take your left hand a hold of your right wrist. So you're grabbing your right wrist with your left hand and just find a little crescent moon side body opener, side body lean. Beautiful. Back up to center. I'm going to show this from another angle again. This time I'm going to invite you to find an open twist towards the left. So your arms are just going to open up and we're twisting towards your left leg. Good. Just feeling that shape in your body. Next invitation is to take left hand to your sacrum. Inhale as you find a little bit of a heart lift. Exalted shape here. There's a little bit of that side body lean. You might look down. You might take your gaze up if balance supports it. And then lifting up here, next invitation is to take right elbow around to the outside of your left knee. Now this actually can be a beautiful place just to hang out. Hand on sacrum, really checking in that we're not really bringing that twist into the hips. The twist is coming from the rib cage, from the mid spine. You might take palm to palm, but again, feeling into that integrity of your hips and lower body. And you can stay in this, you can see my legs are very square, or you might slide your left foot forward, in which case you are leaning more into the lunge. But remember, it's going to feel good whatever you choose. So I want you to go towards that which feels yummy rather than that feels like too much. And we'll unwind. Unwind all of that. Come on through. We're going to make our way back to table. In a moment, just to notice left and right sides. You might even pause in a child's pose or just in stillness, just to sense and feel. And we'll take that all on side two. This time it's right leg back and behind. Our first round is just under the body, feeling that curled shape. Inhale back. Exhale, however you need to get your right foot forward and through. And a few moments here to come in and out of a free flow lunge. Get to know this side of your body. Good. And then eventually walking yourself up. Remember that you can always pad this time your left knee as needed. And then just finding your way, maybe a few breaths in and out of this lifted lunge. And our first guided movement here, this time right hand takes left wrist and a side bend to the right. You might notice that that begins to open a little bit more into left hip flexor, psoas. Coming back up through center. This time it's an open twist to the right. And then an invitation to exalt that open twist. So right hand to right sacrum, left hand to lift, and just kind of breathing into, once again, that diagonal line from your left hip across and around as you maybe gaze up to the right. Next invitation is to take left elbow to the outside of your right leg. You can stay right here. The hand on the sacrum is a reminder that, hey, if you had a little teacup here, you wouldn't spill your tea. So you have a nice even shape in the pelvis. Maybe right hand comes to make contact with your left hand and you have a little prayer twist, finding that twist in the mid-spine. And maybe you walk your right foot a little forward and coming into a deeper variation with the lunge. Super beautiful. Let's go ahead and unwind, 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 making your way back through to table and eventually to downward facing dog. In downward dog, a beautiful place for some exploratory movement. You can walk it out. You might Lift up onto the toes of both feet. Bend your knees deeply. Reach your heels to the ground. It can be also nice, especially with our twisting theme today, to bend your knees and drop your heels to one side, lifting through center, bend your knees, and lower down to the other side. We just twist the hips side to side. And then eventually coming back to your down dog and just feeling yourself inside of the shape. From here, I'll invite you to gaze forward, take a walk forward towards the front of your mat. Finding a halfway lift, inhale, and exhale to fold. And inhale all the way to standing mountain. Now, as you come up to mountain, you might choose just to pause with your hands by your sides, your hands at your heart, or maybe your hands overhead. Whatever feels like it allows you to really arrive in this shape, again with that sense of stacking hips over knees, over heels, shoulders over hips, crown of head lifted, and just that feeling of you taking up space in this way, filling your skin, landing in your body. So beautiful. We'll do some movements that are going to, I'm hoping, start to feel very familiar. The first movement is an invitation to take a hold of your left wrist with your right hand and find a little side bend to the right. And then we'll switch it out. Inhale through center, taking a hold of your right wrist as you side bend to the left. And back up through to center. And now I'll invite you to find an open twist to the right, opening your arms. And you can check in with your hips. In fact, it can be nice just to place your right hand on your sacrum and notice if that right hip wanted to follow the open twist of the upper body. Let your hips still stay in that grounded mountain in the legs as you twist through the upper body. And now we'll all take that right hand to the sacrum, lifting through the left hand, and we'll call this exalted mountain. You might take your gaze up to your left fingertips. Unwind, arms up through center, mountain. We find that on the left. So to open twist to the left, yeah. Just feeling that grounded shape. You can take left hand to your sacrum. So notice if the left hip wanted to follow. Keep that mountain base, just the twist through the rib cage, the thoracic spine, and then exalt. We find a little side bend, back bend. Maybe your gaze lifts. And then unwind and back to mountain. Beautiful. Next invitation is to take your legs together and to come into a seated chair. Seated chair here, and first time in this shape, in this practice. And you can experiment in this shape with how deep you go in your hips, how low that chair seat is, and then also experiment with how to keep the length through your spine, the lift in your heart. It might lift your hips a little bit as you do so. You might also find that lift through your arms. Maybe your gaze. Let your breath support the shape. And then the invitation is to take your hands to prayer, to heart center. We might sit a little lower and then twist toward the left. So as you twist toward the left, you might just stay here in a very open, lifted. Again, the sacrum's not twisting, it's through the mid-spine. You might take it with elbow to the outside of your thigh. That's up to you. There's no better, worse, right, wrong. Whatever shape you're taking, choose where your gaze is, whether you'd like it down to the side or lifted, and come back to your breath. Squeezing your legs together is going to help firm up that nice, strong lower body base. And then slowly unwind, come back to mountain for a moment, let your arms go. And I'm going to suggest for a moment, just shake it out. Whew, let that side go. Arms, legs, hips, voice. Beautiful. We'll find that Utkatasana into the twist on side 2. Feet coming together for this one. Bending your knees, sitting in your chair, finding your depth. Maybe your arms come along. They don't have to. You can keep your arms at heart center the whole time. Come back to your breath again. And then hands to heart center. And the first variation of this twist is just to feel it in the spine, right? Just finding your way in. Can you keep that nice long spine? Can you direct the twist from your core? Maybe it's elbow to outside of leg, squeezing legs together, finding the point for your gaze, finding your breath, moving out stagnancy. It's powerful. It's a warming shape. And then unwind. Whew, let that go. Kick it out. Shake it out. So well done. Okay. Super cool. Let's find our way down to the mat. So I'm going to invite you to draw your arms up. We'll find our way to downward dog. We're going to forward fold. Halfway lift. Find the length of your spine yet again. And exhale, I'll invite you to plant your hands, stepping back. And exhale all the way to the earth. Our first time, belly down. And I'll invite you to find some rolling cobras here. Has a similar feeling to when we did the rolling bridge on our backs. You get to choose how much weight in your hands, how much lift of your spine. One more like that. And then pressing back for a moment, child's pose. Sensing and feeling weight of your body, compressing ankles, knees, hips. Feeling that supported shape on the mat. And then gently pressing back up through table, curling toes under, second time downward facing dog. An opportunity to tune in, check in. And from this downward dog, I'm going to invite you to take your right leg back and behind, sweeping back and up, and exhale forward and through. So this time, an invitation to walk yourself up, and the back heel is lifted, left heel is lifted, and with your right leg forward, we're in a lifted crescent lunge. And in this shape, you can take a moment, find your hips, kind of squaring them to the front. You might even lift and lower up and out of your lunge and back in. Just getting a sense of the firm, solid base of your feet. They're not on a balance beam, so your feet can get to be hip widths apart. And then maybe drawing your arms up overhead. So a few familiar shapes here, right? First variation, right hand takes left wrist, finding your side body. Back up through center. Next variation, open twist to the right. Next invitation, right hand to your sacrum as you lift and exalt this shape. Maybe your gaze lifts to your left fingertips. It requires balance. And then reopen into that open twist. And then we're going to turn it around. So your left arm's going to lead as you come all the way around to a five-pointed star. Hello, hello, hello. You can shake out your hips. You can wiggle out through your arms, your shoulders. Enjoy this shape. And I'm going to invite you to take your hands behind. Perhaps we did this earlier, and take that connected one fist with your two hands to turn your feet forward or slightly pigeon-toed, and then to find a nice long spine as you fold forward into a prasarita forward fold. And sometimes we call this Yogi Mudra. Yogi Mudra means seal of yoga, and it's referring to the action of bowing the head beneath the heart. Slowly, mindfully releasing your hands by way of your sacrum down to the earth. With your hands on the earth, I'll invite you to find a halfway lift and to turn your way back to the front of your mat, turning over towards your right foot, planting your hands, and simply stepping your right foot back to meet your left. Downward facing dog. We will find all of that on side two. Lifting through your left leg. Exhale forward and through. Walking yourself up. Maybe a few moments to reset through your feet, to lift and lower in your hips. To draw your arms up overhead. And left hand taking a hold of your right wrist, finding that side body. Back up through center, finding that open twist. Left hand to sacrum. Inhale, finding that exalted shape. Moving back through the open twist. And we turn it all around. Come on up through Prasarita for a moment here. Or five-pointed star, making our way into Prasarita forward fold. This time the invitation is to take your hands to your hips, and with your feet forward or slightly pigeon-toed, folding forward and releasing your hands to the earth. Hello, it's good to see you. So, letting yourself find your way into this shape. You can use your hands here on the earth or maybe out towards your feet. Let yourself just simply enjoy reversing the flow of gravity, letting your head be nourished by being below your heart. And then once again, walking yourself around to the front, stepping your left foot back to meet the right, and pressing back, downward facing dog. Next invitation is to lift and inhale your right leg back and exhale forward and through into a half pigeon. Half pigeon, initial invitation maybe to explore the lifted variation, planting your hands, finding a lift of your chest, your heart. Before exhaling, walking towards forearms, maybe resting your head down. Resting pigeon, receiving pigeon. Sensing what it feels like to be you here and now. And as we illuminate the path forward, the path ahead, allowing yourself to come back perhaps to your word, phrase, your intention, opening to new possibilities as the creator of your life. And even if we don't know exactly what lies ahead, being open to sensing the possibilities. Slowly, gently lifting up on this side, using your hands and tucking your left toes to support bringing right foot back to meet the left. And then we'll find pigeon on side two, lifting your left leg forward and through. Maybe a moment lifted here. Before lowering down, forearms block, bolster, blanket, whatever you need to find a supported resting shape. On this side, I invite you to take a moment and reflect on this year that's making its way towards a close. 2025, or whatever year you happen to listen to this in the future, in the recording. But wherever you are, reflect on all that has accumulated to inform who you are in this moment. The good, the bad, right? The beautiful support systems, the resources, the struggles. And they have all made you you, right? And of course, you get to choose what you do and what you make of all of that, and how you take that accumulated experience and wisdom and bring it into your future. But maybe there's a little bit of a sensing that all of those experiences that have shaped you are just what they are. Maybe not exactly what you wanted, right? But they are what they are. And they've shaped you. And we take all of that. We bring that with us, slowly pressing into the earth, lifting your gaze. Again, you are the creator of your life, taking all of that with you, stepping back, downward facing dog. And slowly lowering your knees to the earth and coming into a seated shape. Now you can, of course, choose to come onto your backs, do a formal rest in Shavasana, or maybe choosing to end in seated meditation, which is what I will guide for us for today. Maybe adding on a layer for warmth. And in this moment, in this upright shape, taking stock once again on who you are, what inspired you to sign up for this class, to stay here even as we make it towards the end of this class, the end of a year. Coming back to your word, your intention, even if it's evolved, right? Following the evolution of an intention with greater clarity. I invite you to sense into this connection to your core as a tether to knowing who you are and to knowing what you're worth and what you have to offer. And it's okay if you don't know how it will happen quite yet. The momentum is in place. The river is moving. The charge is alive. This constant unfolding, stay with it, stay in it. And with gratitude for that courage within you, within all of us, namaste.